In this episode, my guest, Dr. John Lewis, talks more about the benefits of polysaccharides, not only for brain health, but for things like dementia and Alzheimer's. Dr. John talks about two key people in his University of Miami days that were the most impactful of why he chose to do his research on polysaccharides, and more specifically, with the aloe plant and rice bran. So if you're interested in hearing his story, stay tuned. Real quick, is losing weight after 40 while still enjoying your social life a challenge? Well, you're not alone, because that's pretty much everybody. On the Over 40 Fitness Hacks podcast, I share insights from my 15 plus years as a personal trainer and gym owner, helping people like you strike the right balance. For those ready to take action, please sign up for my online personal training program on my website or through the link in the show notes. Together, we'll design a plan that fits your lifestyle and helps you achieve your goals without sacrificing the fun. And remember, everyone is different. We will find a program that works. Let's move into our next episode where we talk about brain health, polysaccharides, more of the two specific ones that you were mentioning, rice bran and aloe vera. Yes. Anything else you want to talk about too? Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Again, after meeting Dr. McDaniel and Barbara Kimley, who shared with me their experiences and their stories, Brad, it just completely changed my life. And I'm the kind of person where I like to be an open book. I mean, if I hear something that sounds just completely ludicrous to me right off the bat, then I may walk away from it. But in general, my personality is the type that I'll say, okay, well, I'm interested. Share with me what information you have and how I may incorporate that into my own experience. But anyway, as I got with Dr. McDaniel, I mean, it was a bit different with Barbara since she was a patient and she didn't really have that level of cachet that he did. But as Dr. McDaniel had been trained pathologist and then basically went from running a pathology laboratory at a hospital in the Dallas area to practicing nutrition, his life was completely changed almost 40 years ago when he was introduced to this aloe vera product that these guys that had HIV at that time, which back then was a death sentence basically, but yet they had no viral load and their CD4 cells were normal. And they were simply taking this aloe vera product and they had no idea why they didn't look like they had a virus. They were healthy.
Yeah.
And again, it completely changed his life to the point when he met me almost 20 years ago. He had already documented something like 800 different, we call them health challenges, not diseases or disorders, but 800 different health challenges where people had positive responses to taking these polysaccharides. So why is that? Well, very simply, these polysaccharides function as like immune signaling materials, essentially. So what does that mean? That means that when you take these polysaccharides, the immune system recognizes them in some way, and how that does that, I don't know. I don't know if anybody can ever truly define that. It's something, the spark of life that we have, this inherent intelligence we have within ourselves. But the body recognizes those materials just like it does vitamins, minerals, oxygen, amino acids, fatty acids, like everything else that it needs and it requires for our cells to function properly. The same thing with these polysaccharides, but yet these have very specific characteristics related to our immune system. And so for those of you who don't know, the immune system is way more than just our first line of against infection. It's actually like if you use the analogy of listening to a symphony orchestra and you have the conductor in the front, the immune system is like the conductor and the immune system is talking to all the other major organ systems. So like the conductor is, telling the strings and the brass and the this and the that, how to play the music. The immune system does the same thing with all of our other major organ systems. So that's why our immune system is so important to make sure that it's surveillant, it's modulated, it's healthy, it's responsive, it's doing all these things to help keep everything else like our vascular system, our cardiac system, our muscular system, our central nervous system, all these other major organ systems functioning properly. And so when we take in these polysaccharides, it has the ability to turn on and off either a pro-inflammatory signal, an anti-inflammatory signal, to create adult stem cells, to turn on dendritic cells, to turn on natural killer cells, to modulate our T and B cells, all these different components of our immune system, which then have all these different downstream effects on every other major organ system. And so with all that said, what that means is that we ended up getting, thanks to Dr. McDaniel giving a lecture with a group of people where this one lady in the audience happened to have had 4 family members die of Alzheimer's disease. And Dr. McDaniel had presented some data about these cases of people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's he was working with. She felt very inspired, and it led her and her husband ultimately to making a donation for research. They just asked to please make it in Alzheimer's since they had 4 family members die of this horrible, tragic disease. And if you've had anybody in your family or network of people and friends, you know exactly what I'm referring to. And so Dr. Reg, not being affiliated with any university at that time, he called me up and said, John, we've got an incredible opportunity here. We can actually run a clinical trial. What we've always dreamed of, this was going over a couple of years of us trying to figure out how to generate funding to run a study. And so thanks to the generosity of this family, we ran this clinical trial. Actually, we ran two. The first one was here at the university with people with moderate to severe Alzheimer's disease, which is the worst form of it. I mean, that's the population of patients Big Pharma doesn't even have any interest in. Big Pharma looks at those people as like beyond help, basically.
Yeah.
But we also were able to run a study with a clinic in Alabama another neurology practice that focuses on multiple sclerosis. So we had a kind of a sister study there too. But we ran this study here at the center with people with Alzheimer's, and Brad, the results were beyond anything we expected, quite frankly. We used this formula that we now call daily brain care, and we gave it to them for 12 months. And as you can imagine, these caregivers were incredibly motivated and even grateful to even have an opportunity for their loved one to participate in something that might have given them some little hope, if you will. I mean, you look at the 5 FDA-approved drugs for dementia, they don't do anything, basically. You're lucky if they just keep you stable for a few months, but then you'll still fall off the cliff at some point and die. And so we ran this study. We gave the formula to them for 12 months. Brad, at 9 and 12 months, we did the cognitive assessments at baseline, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. We only had enough money in the budget to draw blood at baseline and 12. But at 9 and 12 months, we showed clinically and statistically significant improvement in cognitive function, according to the ADAS-Cog, which is considered to be the gold standard of assessing cognitive function in people with any type of dementia, let alone Alzheimer's disease. I mean, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
You can compare that result to, again, the 5 FDA-approved drugs for dementia. They don't even do anything really. Any type of diet, another dietary supplement, exercise, hyperbaric oxygen, acupuncture, music therapy, red light therapy. And if I'm sounding very arrogant when I say this, I'm sorry, but it's fact. And go to PubMed and fact check what I'm telling our listeners. But there is nothing else out there that has showed that kind of an effect. I mean, it blew us away. We were optimistic, but it was even more significant than we even thought we would get.
Yeah. Well, it's facts and passion. I could see it in your voice and everything. That's what is compelling.
Thank you.
As far as the polysaccharides, I mean, are they all equal? Or you mentioned aloe and rice bran. Why those and why not anything else?
Well, that's a great question too. And it's interesting, like as we were talking earlier about people that come into your life and then they mold you or shape you in a way. Again, I didn't start out my research career focused on polysaccharides per se. I was just looking for any company. I met some really good connections early in my research career, doing research with good companies like Standard Process, Life Extension, Premier Research Labs, Biotics. I mean, these are really good companies out there that are supporting research and helping to move forward the dietary supplements level of credibility, if you will. But I just fell into it. So the reason why it ultimately became aloe vera and rice bran as my focus was thanks to these two particular people who shared with me their experiences. Dr. McDaniel, at the time I had met him, he had documented over 8 different health challenges that people responded to by taking the aloe polysaccharides. Let me tell you Barbara's story really quickly. Barbara had metastatic disease from the thyroid, got treated here at the University of Miami, went through surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, the entire spectrum of conventional medical treatments, still was told, Barbara, we're sorry, you only have 6 months to live. After being completely butchered by the medical system, and I'm an alumnus of the University of Miami and all that, and spent many years there, so it's not like I'm knocking my own alma mater or anything, but still got butchered by the medical system, just the conventional standard medical approach and treatments, and only was given 6 months prognosis to live. So she read an advertisement about this product called hydrolyzed rice bran that ultimately, at the point of when I met her, she sent a letter to my office one day. I got this letter in the mail that was from a person I didn't know. I didn't know this lady from anybody. And she was sharing with me her story about how this rice bran product had saved her life. They wrote a story. The Cancer Center used to do this quarterly publication back before the destroyed materials, basically. And so I get this letter in the mail one day, and it's a cover letter from Barbara, and it's a copy of that publication. And they're doing a nice feel-good story on her about how she's surviving and dealing with her situation. And so she went from being given a 6-month prognosis to living like another 9 years.
Wow.
And the only thing that she had changed to a vegan diet. She'd done all this spirituality stuff, acupuncture, all these other herbs and whatnot, and was still declining. But when she started taking this rice bran product, she just had these experiences with other medical practitioners. They didn't have any idea why she was still alive. In fact, I got to know her radiation oncologist pretty well. And he said every time Barbara came in for a follow-up, he would look at her chart and go, "Barbara, I don't even know why you're sitting here. You should be dead. Like, your calcitonin level is through the roof. Like, I can't even explain how you were alive." Even he, as a conventional radiation oncologist, had to admit it was that rice bran. And so that was a very powerful story for me that ultimately led me to a relationship with this company in Japan that makes this particular rice bran product. And so I had these two lines of research going at the same time, one on the aloe vera side and one on the rice bran side. And Brad, they were running simultaneously. And I had all this work going, and we just kept finding all these consistent, parallel, similar findings in terms of, especially on the cellular level. Like, I didn't even mention some of those findings from the Alzheimer's and MS studies yet, but we just kept finding all these similar things. And my brain is just, I'm just firing with ideas. Oh my God. And so you put all this together and it just creates such an incredibly powerful story about the effects of these polysaccharides. I mean, it's just unreal.
The main reason from just your life is because of meeting these people, that the polysaccharides from the aloe and the rice bran had so much research already done on them. I mean, there could be other polysaccharides out there that no one's even tested them. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just, we got to go with what we got.
I mean, you've probably, with your clients and maybe even some of your own research, lion's mane mushroom, it's pretty hot right now, so to speak.
Yeah.
The reason why lion's mane mushroom is so beneficial is, guess what it has in it? Polysaccharides.
Oh,
It's the polysaccharides from the lion's mane mushroom. That's why that plant is so beneficial for us. It's the polysaccharides.
Gotcha.